Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, it's time. It's time, man. I miss y'all, man. I miss y'all. It's the big broadcast. What episode? I think 103, 104, 105. I forgot. Right, but we streaming, man. We streaming. I appreciate everybody for sliding through, either watching live or the replay. I want y'all to start this off by smashing the like button. That's the best way to support, the best way to, show any kind of appreciation. And if you're listening on audio only platforms, and be sure to give your boy 5 stars. Go give a review, helps the algorithm. We fighting the algorithm, man. I'm gonna like my own ish. I'm gonna like my own ish. I'm gonna give myself already 5 stars, man. Y'all could be anywhere else this Friday, but you chose to be here with your boy, man. Big J, Big Stepper, man. How's your boy looking, man? I think I look high. You know what I mean? I think I look high. Let's start with the birds, though. Let's start with the birds. Yes. Yes. By the way, before we get started, have y'all heard that new J. Cole, The Fall Off? Right? I'm going to tell you my favorite song on it so far. I've only heard it once. Is the one where he samples How's It Going Down. Okay? Here's the thing about YouTube, right? They have guidelines that kind of play games in a sense that I can kind of put on music, but it's gonna get knocked off. In other words, it's gonna mess up my live stream. So again, the best way y'all can support is smashing that like button, sharing everything, this, that, and the third. It means a lot. Let's have a two-way conversation too. Get in the chat, get in the chat, get active. What I'm gonna do after the live stream is I'm gonna cut off some parts of the stream in order to keep it monetized and well going. But y'all can do your best on your big one by supporting, showing love, sharing all that, everything, this, that, and the third. So smash that like button, best way to support, and let's keep it going, man. This is the song that I'm looking for. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it. And if y'all have heard that new J. Cole, let me know uh your favorite tracks or what you were feeling. Off of first listen, I'm feeling like it's mid, but I have to sit with it. You know what I mean? It came out today. But we're gonna go with this one. I like this track. I'm gonna put it on. So far, this is my favorite. Let me know if y'all hear it and everything good.
Realest shit I wrote. Realest shit I wrote.
Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. I don't own this music. It belongs to J. Cole, Dreamville, Fayetteville, all that, all that, all that. Let's go. By the way, do y'all know the sample? Y'all get in the chat. Let me know what he sampled. Let me know the artist and the song. If y'all really hip hop heads, let's go.
To be a player.
By the way, I'm sipping apple juice. Okay, YouTube police, YouTube AI, it's apple juice. You dig? Y'all better be sipping your apple juice too. Okay? And something that y'all don't know about my stream is if y'all send a super chat, I might be sipping on some apple juice. You know what I mean, might take a shot of apple juice. If y'all know what I mean. Let's get it though.
More versatile.
I'm gonna give Cole his credit, man. He gives a lot of deep introspective songs like that one. You know what I mean? And I like when he gets in that bag. You know what I mean? Mixing a little bit of R&B and you know what I'm saying, some raps, deeper levels, deeper meanings. Y'all didn't get in the chat. I don't know why chat is quiet, but it's how's it going down by DMX. Rest in peace, DMX. One of our favorite DMX songs, man. You know what I mean? So we got to give it up. We got to give it up. What are y'all first impressions of this J. Cole album? Like I said, it's kind of mid to me, but I'm gonna give it more listens. Before we get into Jeffrey Epstein, I want to set up the mood, put on some other tracks. I'm gonna play two more, and we're gonna rock out. We're gonna rock out. We're gonna vibe out. Now this is Belly Gang, Cushington, Rent New. Hey, whoa, what Jesus said. Mm, hey, Mm. Speak that off. Hey, belly gang, belly gang. Fair use, fair use. And we gotta end it off with I just want to remind y'all that if you have me on Patreon, if you support on Patreon, this whole stream will be unedited, raw, and full. And then that if you are listening on audio only like Spotify um or podcasting on Apple or any other podcasting platform, you will be able to hear and listen to all of this. YouTube, y'all know how YouTube is. YouTube is restrictive. So if y'all watching the replay, you know what time it is. Editing. Y'all deserve one more. Y'all deserve one more. Let's go. Y'all deserve one more. Let's go. Come on, come on. One more. Mm.
Let me see one of y'all light, fam.
By the way, smash that like button, man. Best way to support your boy. Smash that like button. Let's go. Come on. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, man. I like finesse two times. I like finesse two times. Dude is funny. Dude actually has career and talent, and it is what it is. But let's stop playing. Let's stop BSing. Let's get to the start of the show. Let's talk about it. We are here to talk about Jeffrey Epstein, right? And the Epstein files explained. Okay. Again, let me make this perfectly clear from the jump, from the beginning. Okay. We're here to break down what the Epstein files are. Okay. We're here to understand the difference between allegations and evidence and proof. And we're trying to understand what this all means. Okay. We got to start with the timeline. Then we're going to go to the connections. And then we're going to go to the deeper meanings of things. Okay. And to properly understand what this is and who this is and why this matters to society and why I've always been what quote unquote people say conspiracy theorists. If you've been a fan of you listen to my podcast and my show and all these things, you already know my thoughts about people in power, about these elites, about the government, this, that, and the third. You know exactly how I feel about these things. Okay. So none of this is a surprise, but I will lay down what this is all about, really. What are the things that are hidden? Why is Jay-Z in these files? Why is Pusha T in these files? Right? Who are these people and why do they matter? Right? Why is Prince Andrew, one of the royals, in this? Right? Why are multiple people in power? Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, who are these people? Okay. Well, let's start with the background. Let's start with the clear background of what this is. What I'll do is I'm going to go first to what it says on Wikipedia about Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to read it, right? Again, these things are graphic. I'm going to say again, these things are unsavory, right? And these are things that, again, have to do with sensitive topics, man. You know what I mean? We're talking about children being abused, right? We're talking about international alliances, people who were willing to do any and everything to attain power, right? And blackmail and international governments and lies and things of the Illuminati and all these things. We're talking about things that we thought were fake, but they turn out to be real. So let me give y'all some background information for people who don't know or don't understand. Who is Jeffrey Epstein? Okay. On paper, Jeffrey Epstein is a financier, a finance guy, right? Somebody who infiltrated the financial district. So let's read here, at least what Wikipedia has to say, right? Jeffrey Epstein was an American financier, child sex ex offender. I'm gonna censor myself to a certain degree because I can't say these things on YouTube. I'm gonna get flagged, demonetized, all type of other ish. But I will try my best. Y'all gonna read it. Y'all gonna understand it. Follow me, okay? Get active in the chat as well. So what he was a financier, child ex offender, serial rapist. Remove the G. Human trafficker. He began his professional career as a teacher, being hired without a degree by Donald Barr at the Dalton School. Right? So you're dealing with first and foremost white privilege, right? Or small hat privilege. When I say small hat, I'm talking about Jewish privilege, right? Again, this is an individual who started out as a teacher, right? Without a degree, placed in a Dalton school, right? Which is a prestigious school to a certain degree. How does an MF get that much clout? Well, if he's a spy, I think spies get clout. I think when you're an asset to certain governments, we're going to get into it, you get a lot of privilege. We're going to get to that later. Y'all stay tuned. Get in the chat if you already know where I'm going to go, because I think y'all might know where I'm finna go. So let's read this. He began his professional career as a teacher, being hired without a degree by Donald Barr at the Dalton School. After his dismissal from school in 1976, he entered the banking and finance sector. Shout out to the homie. Don't get demonetized off rip. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I'm gonna definitely try my best not to get demonetized. Let's talk about it. There's, like I said, this is sensitive topics, and I'm gonna try my best not to get smacked by YouTube. But it is what it is. We got to talk about it. We got to talk about it, right? So he entered the banking after his dismissal from school in 1976. He entered the banking and finance sector, working at Bear Stearns in various roles. So Bear Stearns is an investment bank, right? It's a very, very big corporation, right? Uh, and he worked there in various roles before starting his own firm, right? So he started his own finance firm, investment firm, securities trading brokerage. He's in the finance industry. The way he even got in is weird. His whole background is weird. He's not educated. In other words, he didn't have any post-secondary degree, right? His history as a teacher is weird because once you see his interviews and you see him talking, he's not very. I'm gonna say this: he's a dumbass, bro. He's stupid. Like, okay, let me rephrase that. He does not have high intelligence. That's the best way I can phrase that. He does not have high intelligence. In other words, dude is not somebody you would expect to be a college professor. I'm telling you right now, there's people right now. Let me say this. Homie in this chat. This is my brother. This is my dog. Oh my god. By the way, y'all go subscribe to the homie. This dude is smarter than Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not that smart. I'm smarter than Jeffrey Epstein. But here's the difference. We're not spies though. We're not assigned assets for federal governments. That's the difference, right? See, once you're an assigned assets for certain governments and you're used to blackmail people, it hits different. It hits different. Let's read more. Y'all get in the chat. I want to hear your thoughts. Let's go. Here's where it gets crazy, right? Epstein cultivated an elite social circle that procured at least 1,000 underage girls, teens, and young women who were subjected to repeated rape, sexual violence by him and his associates. Epstein made much of his fortune by providing tax and estate services to billionaires. Right? In 2005, police in Palm Beach, Florida, began investigating Epstein after a parent reported that he had actually abused. I removed the S, but he had actually, y'all understand what that is, their 14-year-old daughter. Disgusting. 14-year-old daughter was abused by this person. Federal official identified 36 girls, some as young as 14. Disgusting. Whom Epstein had allegedly actually abused, right? Epstein pleaded guilty and was convicted in 2008 by a Florida state court of procuring children for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. He was convicted of only two counts crimes as part of a controversial plea deal. We're going to get into that. Agreed by the U.S. Department Justice Alexander Acosta and served almost 13 months in custody with extensive work releases, right? Epstein was arrested again in July 6, 2019, on federal charges for sexual trafficking of minors in Florida and New York. He died, allegedly, in his cell August  10th, 2019. Barbara Sampson, the New York City Examiner, controversially ruled the death as a TV off by hanging. Forensic pathologist Michael Brennan had disputed the ruling, and there was significant public skepticism about the true cause of death, resulting in conspiracy theories. And that's what we are. That's what we are, kind of. There's multiple things that happened. Eventually, because of the pressure of the public, right? These files came out, right? So these files came out by the government of the United States, right? So to give y'all more background in this, right? Um, there was this came out about, if I'm not mistaken, like about a week ago, right? Shout out Bobby Shmurda, about a week ago, right? And I think there's a portion of here where they talk about it, right? Since Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. Since Epstein's death precluded the possibility of pursuing criminal charges against him, a judge dismissed all criminal charges in August 19, 2019. Epstein had a decade-long association with Ghislaine Maxwell. We're going to get into that, who recruited young girls for him, leading to her 2021 conviction on U.S. federal charges, child sex trafficking, conspiracy of helping him procure girls, including 14-year-olds, for sexual abuse and prostitution. Right. So ultimately, right, Epstein here's the thing that we're going to lead to what we're talking about in the general timeline of things, right? So let's start off from the very beginning of the timeline. Jeffrey Epstein is somebody who doesn't have a degree, but all of a sudden is a teacher at the Dalton School. What? And number two, he gets fired from that. Then now he works at Bear Stearns, which is a known investment banking, investment company, financing company. Okay. Then he starts his own firm. Okay. Interesting. Without any prior knowledge. So he was a networker among the elites, among rich people, among billionaires, and was able to become somebody who gives tax advice and financial advice and guidance to the ultra wealthy, right? This is weird. This whole ish is weird, right? This whole ish does not make sense. It doesn't add up, right? I'm gonna play some videos a bit later where we're gonna listen to this guy and understand that he wasn't that intelligent. So how was he able to do this? That's where the Epstein files comes in. So let's read this part of the talking to, at least the article here. Epstein was a renowned social networker whose vast network included business people, royalty, politicians, and academics. Let's talk about it. And his friendships with public figures, including Donald Trump. Oh, y'all see why I put that thumbnail up? Y'all see the thumbnail, man. Y'all see why I put the thumbnail up. By the way, shout out to the homie Sleepy Euphoria in the chat, my dog. Cheers to you. Let's get it, man. We it's gonna be nasty work tonight, bro. I'm just gonna give you a feel. It's nasty work, but we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. All right? Smash that like button, everybody tuning in, man. Get active in the chat. Epstein was again. Let me read that back. Epstein was a renowned social networker whose vast network included business people, royalty, politicians, academics, and his friends with public figures, including Donald Trump, Andrew Mountain Windsor, Bill Clinton, met Merit Crown Prince of Norway, so it's a Prince of Norway, have attached significant controversy. The Epstein Files released as part of the Epstein Files Transparency Act showed that he maintained connections with many notable figures. Right. So we're going to get into it. What happened was there was this thing which was the Epstein Transparency Act. Okay? Why? Why did this happen? Why did this get shown up? Because multiple people in Congress, the United States Congress, voted on it. They voted that the DOJ, the Justice Department, Department of Justice in the United States, should release the information they have about Epstein, right? And this was pushed by the Democrats, right? The Democrats, mostly by the Democrats, in an attempt, which I believe, to destroy and defame Donald Trump, right? And it's mostly a publicity thing. Now, their argument was to get justice for the victims, right? But I don't think it's real. Why don't I think it's real? Jeffrey Epstein and this whole thing got discovered in 2019, right? 2019, who was the president of the United States, right? It was Donald Trump. 2020, Joe Biden won the election, right? And then if you go back further, right? All these connections and allegations pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein and his rampage and all these things, they went as far back as 2005, 2006, the early 2000s. And even you can go back as the 90s. In other words, dude had been a figure in these elite circles for years. The Obama administration, Trump number one, Joe Biden administration. So the length of his influence had spanned multiple presidencies, but most of them presidencies were Democratic. Why didn't Joe Biden push this? Right? Why didn't Obama push this or press the line on it? Well, my theory, bro, my theory again is that they were all in on it. They were all compromised. And we're going to get to the spy portion of this, right? Ultimately, by the way, shout out Sleepy before in the chat. Epstein is like fresh and fit. Look, he's a disgusting pedophile, PDF file. It is what it is. But he was networking. Why was he networking? For who? We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. But what happened here is that because of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which came into Congress earlier last year, that needed bipartisan support. I'm talking about people from the other aisle. I'm talking about Republicans, right? Thomas Massey, you know what I'm saying? Nancy Mace. These are politicians on the Republican side to say, yo, we got to figure out what in the hell is going on with Jeffrey Epstein. Release the files, as many files as you can. Right? So if you go on the DOJ website, it says this site houses materials responsive under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. This site will be updated if additional documents are identified for release. Some of the library's contents include descriptions of sexual assault. As such, please be advised that certain portions of this library may be inappropriate for most readers. Here's the problem with it, right? Again, I haven't read the full Epstein files. Obviously not. It's tons of pages, right? I have searched some individuals in there, such as Jay-Z, Pusha T, and all these things. And ultimately, I led me to some conclusions, bro. Right? And the first and foremost is a lot of it is dirty, bro. A lot of it is disgusting. A lot of it is tied to powerful people. And a lot of it is tied to these elites who did all these disgusting, degenerate things to women, to girls. And we have to get to justice about it. Now, here's something that I want to let y'all know. Just because people are in the Epstein files don't mean that they did things bad towards women or girls, right? Just because you're in the emails, flight logs, and all them things doesn't mean you actually did it. But guess what? It means that you're suspect. It means that, bruh, let me tell you something, man. If you're at if you're at a crime scene, man, I'm telling you right now, you might be suspicious of doing a crime. Don't mean that you did it. Doesn't it means that maybe you might be involved, bruh. And it does not look good, right? Ultimately, this guy's a sicko. Ultimately, I don't believe that he offed himself, right? I believe the dude was doing some nasty, nasty, gross work. And it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's just talk about it. You know what I mean? He was networking for the simple reasons. This is my main theory, to actually use his power and influence to blackmail and manipulate people, bro. These are facts, right? Y'all know what time it is, man. I'm more of a Trump person. It is what it is. But this has been a horrible disaster that he did in terms of managing this situation. Let's listen to something interesting about this Trump situation and his involvement. Let's go.
Spa worker from Epstein. The journal reports that the spa worker from Mar-a-Lago often made house calls to Jeffrey Epstein's home 2 miles away. But those house calls, quote, came to a halt in 2003 after an 18-year-old beautician returned to the club from a house call to Epstein and reported to managers that he had pressured her for sex. The HR manager faxed Trump a letter suggesting that the club ban Epstein, and Trump agreed, which does mirror the president's own public comments about why he cut ties with Epstein. The White House is responding to the Wall Street Journal, writing, no matter how many times this story is told and retold, the truth remains President Trump did nothing wrong, and he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep.
He cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein long before Epstein became a convicted sex offender. A lot of Democrats didn't, and it is corroborated by the Wall Street Journal tonight.
Epstein. The journal reports that a spa worker from Mar-a-Lago often...
Okay, so what are our conclusions now? Our conclusions is that Trump looks really bad in this situation especially his DOJ, Pam Bondi, and them, because they also had all this information, but they restricted it. Talking about prominent people who were involved in this situation and had relationships of varying degrees related to Jeffrey Epstein. Meaning the DOJ, the Department of Justice, had all this information for a long time. They didn't tell the people. They weren't transparent with the people. And I'm gonna guess, I'm gonna tell you the truth. They have more information, right? Who was exposed? Let me tell you again. We're at the timeline of events right now, right? Who was exposed? Who were on them logs, man? Check out prominent individuals mentioned in the Epstein files. We got Woody Allen, right? PDF file. It is what it is. Disgusting. But all of a sudden, he's in Hollywood and able to still have a career. Gross. We got Emil Amdi. I don't even know who this person is. Seems like a business person. Uh, Eva Anderson Dubb. I don't know who this is. It says Eva Anderson Dublin was Epstein's girlfriend for 11 years before marrying Glenn Dublin, and Epstein paid her medical school tuition. Epstein was godfather to Dublin's three children. Okay. Peter Attia. Why does it matter? This guy's an influencer, right? And he appears in the files 1,700 times. Emails shown Attia joking with Epstein and expressing that the worst part of his friendship was the life you lead is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul. Crazy, man. By the way, this guy Peter Attia, he's Canadian too. He's from T Dot, and he's one of these people that actually got hired by CBS. We're talking about these are the elites, guys. These are people who have influence. Jose Maria Azuna, president of Spain. Let me say this again. Just because you're in the Epstein files don't mean you did nothing. But it looks really, really bad. It's not an admission of guilt. Why, again, were all these files sealed? Why are they being released now? Right? And how much are you actually getting to know? Right? Just because you're on the file doesn't mean you have been criminally charged. But guess what? At a certain point, they have to start charging. Steve Bannon is in them. Right? Let's read here. The documents include thousands of texts between alt-right populists and Epstein, particularly from 2018 and 2019. Keep in mind, this was after 2008, 2009, when he was convicted of being a PDF file. These people still talking to him. Gross. The message showed the two discussing efforts to influence international geopolitics. Nasty. Included shaping European coalitions, increasing pressure on China, forging business ties in the Middle East. Epstein offered abandon the use of a Paris apartment, a Palm Beach house, and the plane on multiple occasions. The two dined together frequently. Bannon provided media training for Epstein as part of work on a documentary and coached him as he faced increasing media scrutiny in early 2019. This was before he went to jail and allegedly unalived himself. Bannon was not immediately respond to requests for comment. Okay. In March 2019, Bannon asked Epstein if he could supply his plane to pick him up in Rome. A couple of months later, Epstein messaged Bannon. Now you can understand why Trump wakes up in the middle of the night sweating when he hears you and I are friends. Right. Why does this matter? It matters because Bannon was a part of Trump's first administration. When Trump got elected in 2016, Bannon was there. But Bannon was friends with this pedo, right? And guys, let me make this perfectly clear. What is human trafficking? Let's lay some ground rules. Human trafficking is pimping. That's what it is. That's another word for pimping, right? Right. So when you say Jeffrey Epstein is a human trafficker, he pimps minors to elites, man. In other words, he's taking children, innocent children, or young girls, or even just girls, period, women, right? Younger than 20. younger than 25. It's gross, it's nasty, but it's the truth. He sends them to older, powerful men and gets some kind of payment, finder's fee type of thing. He's pimping. It is what it is. Now, because of the laws, it's now been called human trafficking because that's what it is. You can traffic drugs, drug trafficking, selling drugs, right? And then there's human trafficking. Here's the dark part. Some of it is by choice, and a small minority of it is demonic. It's not by choice. There's real victims in this. There were volunteers and there were victims. Let's talk about it. So here's the Bannon connection. And now, okay, the context of this message is unclear in the documents, which were released with many redactions and a little clear organization. Another 2018 exchange focused on Trump's threats at the time to oust Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, whom he had named to the post just a year prior. So these are elites fighting amongst each other. It is what it is, right? Let's hear again what I believe is Epstein talking to Steve Bannon. All right. This was part of the Epstein files, right? And we're gonna listen to some of it. By the way, fair use. I don't own this content. This belongs to Vlad. This belongs to Vlad. Let's listen to some of it.
Illiterate, economically illiterate.
Let's hear this.
And I looked at the list of people, and it was Bill Clinton.
By the way, I'm showing this to prove that this man was not that intelligent. Let's go.
Former president of the United States, Paul Volcker, every great leader in America, the Asians, the Japanese, and with a very long description of their history. And they asked me to fill in what I would like to have written. And I wrote Jeffrey Epstein, comma, just a good kid, which I thought was funny. Nobody else did. So in answer to your question, at that time, I recognized around the world that monies and currencies were not really well understood. But again, it was only numbers. So numbers, and I'll get to the fact that it was bad thinking. Its numbers are very good.
Are most people even on trial or commission?
Let me pause this again. This is an individual who's not smart. At least he can't express himself in an interview with a quote unquote friend or an associate who's Steve Bannon, right? How are you stumbling and scraping when you have your homie media training you up for an interview? You can't even express yourself properly and what you are and what you do, right? This is an hour and something interview. Dude's a dummy, right? What he does is he networks with rich millionaires, billionaires, so forth, politicians to blackmail them. This is the truth. Let's go, man. Let's go.
Meet most people. Do you find most leaders?
And my thing is, I don't even think he was really the person who was at the very bottom of this. Y'all get active in the chat. I believe that there's deeper messages at play. Right? He's disgusting. He's a snake. He's everything, this, that, and the third. Nasty. But there's deeper factions at play here. We're going to get to it. Let's go, man.
Financially illiterate, economically illiterate.
Most political leaders don't come out of a background of finance. Most political leaders come out of a background of being popular. So in some of the countries, in some of the African countries, for example, they might have been a military person. They were a general. In some of the African countries, they might have been a disc jockey. Or in our country, they would have been an actor. The knowledge.
Shut up, man. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a lot of depth, bro. Does not have a lot of depth. By the way, shout out to Oran Conan here, man. So he's a snake. I won't say he's a snake. I'd say he's a spy. I say that he, in his capacity, his job was to Get information and gather it and use it as blackmail against people in powerful position. He was a useful tool to specifically the government of Israel, aka Mossad. That's my theory. That's a big theory that's been floating around. But I don't think it's just him. I believe it's Ghislaine. Ghislaine, she is the closest to this. Let's go listen some more of this nonsense. He's stupid.
Of money isn't, they don't have expertise, they have no degrees in finance. They really, and this is one of the major problems.
Stupid, you don't have a degree in finance. Dummy. So you are out here giving advice to powerful people in the world about finance, and you yourself don't have a degree in finance or prior knowledge. Why do these people trust you with their finance? Maybe because you're the pimp who hooks them up with women, right? Hooks them up with girls, underage girls. How do you have access to underage girls? Oh, maybe it's because you have been getting recruited or recruiting these underage girls because of your messed up girlfriend, right? Or your manager, right? Right. Let's talk about it. Let's go, man. Shit.
Their expertise, if they have any financial knowledge, is of their own checking account or bank account and filling in their own taxes. So many world leaders who don't really have a financial underpinning make fundamental errors when it comes to money on a country or institutional level. Let me give you an example.
So again, what why this matters, at least this section of this interview, is that he's saying and validating what he does. What he does is he gives financial advice and guidance, tax preparation for people who are wealthy and political because they don't have the requisite knowledge. He's an advisor. In reality, he is a pimp, right? In the most negative version of the word, who sets these people up with women and takes them to his party island, lives an outrageous lifestyle. Now, how is there the political connection, right? The people who are associated to him, right? Let's go back again. Let's go back to the individuals he's associated with, right? Let me show you one of them. Really, really important person to at least a version of my theory. Not even just my theory, a common theory amongst a lot of people that this was Jewish influential Mossad, right? One of them, his name is Edmund Ehud Barak. I mispronounce it. Ehud Barak. Let me put it right here. Who is this person, Ehud Barak? Let's read it. Let's read it. In September 2013, by the way, this was after his conviction, Jeffrey Epstein's conviction. Email showed the former Israeli Prime Minister. Mm. So this is the former Israeli Prime Minister. Let's go. And the Defense Minister informing Epstein that Larry Summers had withdrawn from consideration for chair of the Federal Reserve, writing a major blow to a friend. Now he'll probably be free in the next few days. Later that day, Epstein emailed Barack to schedule meetings for him with billionaire banker Andrea de Rothschild. Oh, we got Rothschilds in there. Very interesting. Get in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. And individuals referred to as the Kissinger China girl. A representative for Barack did not respond for a request to comment. It's kind of funny how all of these people are hiding. In 2013, recording of Barack and Epstein released by the DOJ, Epstein encouraged Barack to look at working with Peter Thiel's company, Palantir. Peter Thiel, billionaire, early investors in Facebook, Apple, all of them. Palantir, very interesting company. We can dive deep into that, but let's hear. Previously leaked emails from Baraka's account show Epstein's leveraging his relationship with Barack to approach powerful figures like Thiel, former director of Israeli signals intelligence, and two people in Vladimir Putin's circle, former Russian deputy minister of economic development Sergei Bolkayev and Victor Velasquez. I'm messing up the names, it is what it is. The leak also contained an email where Barack complimented Epstein for his great, impressive island. Amen. In another email released by the GOJ, Epstein told Barack he was attempting to meet with Putin to discuss investment opportunities. Do y'all see what I'm saying? Do y'all clock it? As the girls say, y'all clock it? This dude Epstein was connected to Israeli former prime ministers, right? He was connected to the the current president. He was connected to all these people, right? Why were they all going to his island? They were going to his island to get freaky with minors. Nasty work, but that's the reality of life. It is what it is. Now, somebody you would not expect on the Epstein files that a lot of people were surprised, even me. I'm just gonna keep it real. Even me, I was surprised that this person was there, was showing up. Elon Musk. Elon Musk. Yes, Elon Musk is in the Epstein files. For what reason, you might ask? Well, let's read. Let's read and find out. Let's find the hell out. Emails. Emails. By the way, y'all like the content, man. Y'all get in there. Shout out to people in the chat, man. Smash that like button, man. Best way to support your boy and help me do what I'm doing, man. Let's read some of this. Why does this matter about Elon Musk being in these files? It matters because Elon Musk is one of the first people who said that Donald Trump was part of the Epstein files, and that was a reason that Donald Trump was not willing to release it. Right? Yeah. This was about last year, a year ago. The Epstein files were not released to this capacity. And Elon Musk wrote a tweet. This was the time that Elon and Trump were beefing when Doge was essentially banned or done with. Elon Musk tweeted that the reason Donald Trump is not releasing the full Epstein files is because Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Now, point blank, period, everybody knows Donald Trump is part of them. And let's lay the groundwork too. Just because he's part of the files doesn't mean he did things in the files. Right? Doesn't mean he did things with children. It's suspicious. Why does this matter? We have somebody like Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker went on that island. Chris Tucker is all in the Epstein files. Chris Tucker was in them flight logs. You know what I mean? Was he partying? Was he meeting prostitutes? Was he with minors? We don't know. That needs to be investigated. You know what I mean? Let me tell you this. Jay-Z and Pusha T was in the Epstein files, bro. With Harvey Weinstein. We're going to get to that. But just because they were there doesn't mean they participated. Now, does it look crazy? It looks nuts. It looks crazy, man. You know what I mean? Shout out to my boy. Is Diddy in them files? Well, we'll find out. Let me search it up. I don't think he is. And this is the most surprising part of it. Diddy ain't, you know what Diddy did? Diddy made his own Diddy files. It's crazy. Diddy's not in there. Kanye's not in there. Yeah, I know. Crazy. Charlie Sheen ain't in there. Jay-Z, Pusha T somehow in there. Isn't that crazy? Nuts, right? But let's go on the trail about Elon Musk. And I'm going to explain why this all matters to the grand scheme of things. It matters because Elon Musk was one of the first people to say Donald Trump is in his Epstein files, right? But ironically, his weird ass was in the Epstein files. It's kind of like, what? It's like you're accusing somebody of something you did. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my God, bro. But let's say this. Let's say this. Let me read at least the connection. Let me give y'all the background. Okay. Emails from 2012 to 2014. Let me say again why that matters. 2012, 2014 was after 2009. After this dude was convicted of being a child abuser, PDF file. It is what it is. You know what I mean? This stream ain't gonna get monetized. It is what it is. I've accepted it. So the emails between 2014, 2012, and 2014 showed Epstein making repeated overtures to meet with Musk, with the latter citing scheduling conflicts and logistic complications. The communications did not reflect any actual in-person meeting between the two. Now, where there's credit, there's credit. Elon Musk, as weird and as wild as this person is, he never actually met Epstein face to face. They emailed. In other words, dude was trying to link up with Epstein, the pervert. It is what it is. Let's go. One email exchange from mid December 2013 to early 2014 showed Epstein and Musk coordinating on a possible holiday visit to Epstein's compound in the U.S. Virgin Islands. In late 2012, Musk asked Epstein about attending the wildest party on his island and wrote on December that he wanted to hit the party scene in St. Bart's or elsewhere and let loose. When Epstein replied, the ratio on my island might make Tallulah uncomfortable. So he was married, by the way. So keep in mind, this sicko is a weirdo, bro. I'm just gonna keep it real. I don't understand how y'all didn't find this MF. He's a weirdo, bro. It is what it is. So, dude was married in 2012, 2014, right, to a woman called Tallulah. And dude was plotting with Epstein to go on his island because this dude, again, is a pimp. He's a PDF file. He's disgusting. I'm happy he's dead. He's unalived. But again, this MF was trying to go to the island with this MF to engage in all kind of recklessness. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Let's go. Let's read the rest of it. Let me go. So at this point, right, Epstein is telling this dude, yo, bro, won't your wife be kind of weird about you coming to my island? So the disgusting PDF pimp is kind of watching out for this weirdo's marriage. It is what it is. Musk responded, the ratio is not a problem for Tallulah. Musk also suggested in February 2013 that Musk meet with him at SpaceX factory launch near Long Beach, California, following the document release. Musk posted on X. In other words, Musk, after these all came out about a week ago, what matters is not released as some suspects of the Epstein files, but rather that the persecution of those who committed heinous acts with Epstein. In another 2013 email chain. So dude is saying the communication doesn't matter. What matters is what happens to the people who did crimes with Epstein. Now, let's not cap. He's correct. Look, bro. Allegedly, Epstein is out of here, right? What matters is if we're really trying to find justice, right? Is the people who did things with Epstein, the people on them client list, the people who did nasty things to young girls, women, and so forth, actually get investigated, go through the court system, and get preferably shot in their face. If you're touching children, you got to get popped in your face. It is what it is. I don't make the rules, bro. You got to get popped. Public hangings, executions, bro. Bring them back. Death penalty. I'm with it. I'm with it. I don't care. If you're touching children, you need to be publicly executed, bro. I'm not here. You know what I mean? Get the blick. Spray them up. I'm not gonna get monetized. YouTube's gonna play games. It is what it is. Pop them in their ish, man. It is what it is. Anyways, let's hear what Elon Musk had to say about these findings. Let's hear his exchanges. Okay, so right in another 2013 email exchange, shortly after successful Falcon 9 rocket launch, Epstein congratulated Musk and later asked if he had tried the wakeful medication Nuvgil. Okay, Musk had publicly stated that he refused all invitations to Epstein Island. In a 2019 comment about the affair, Musk said that he had once briefly visited Epstein's home and had repeatedly declined invitations to Epstein's island. I'm just gonna keep it real with you, bro. I think that's cap. I think that's cap. I think that's lies. I think the dude wanted to go on that island, bro. He wanted to participate in the freak nasty discussing things. But I think Epstein was like, nah, don't pull up. Don't pull up. He said, don't pull up. That's what I think happened. Let's look in the chat. Okay. He wanted to participate, but didn't get the invite. Bingo. Bingo. That's exactly what it is. Stop promoting violence, bro. Let me tell you this. I'm not promoting violence. I'm promoting accountability, right? You do a crime, you do the time, or you do the punishment by the state. I'm just saying that the state should consider public executions, firing squads. You know what I mean? You're touching children, it's a fini, man. It is what it is. Two wrongs don't make a right. All right, man. I respect you for being more conscious than me and maybe more merciful, but man, you gotta get if you're touching children, man, you gotta get popped, man. You gotta hit two up here, bro. Two of them. Maybe a third one for good luck. Pow, pow, pow. It is what it is. Now, again, bro, there's a reason that I wanted to really talk about these things. And let's get another person who was part of these Epstein files that that really matters, right? Jay-Z. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. It is what it is. Jay-Z and Pusha T. Let's talk about it. Y'all get in the chat. So let's read this. According to FBI, this is by the way, a Wikipedia article. According to FBI crisis intake form that was included in the January 2026 release of Epstein files, an anonymous victim alleged that after being drugged and sexually abused, she woke up in a room with rapper Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein. Nasty, nasty work. Now, look, again, it's hard for us as a people to go by the thing of you're innocent until proven guilty. It is what it is. But again, these people, except for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, they are innocent until proven guilty. They are. They are, man. And we can't, in good conscience, assume that Jay-Z did these things with Harvey Weinstein. Does it look horrible? Yes. Does it look bad? Yes. Would I be surprised if Jay-Z was part of this? Absolutely not. Jay-Z is part of that elite class, bro. He's part of them people, man. Well, he Jay-Z has multiple videos in interviews and times talking with Harvey Weinstein. Let's talk about it. Let's go. Harvey Weinstein, Jay-Z. Let's talk about it. Yeah. Let's go, man. These MFers is connected, bro. It is what it is. Mm-mm-mm. Hold on. We gonna get there. We gonna get there, bro. We are going to get there. Smash that like button, man. Get active in the chat, bro. It is what it is. It is what it is. Look at this. Look at it. Look at this. Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. I don't own this content. Why does this matter, guys? Jeffrey Epstein, I'm sorry, not Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein. It's funny how these Jewish fellas, rich millionaires, billionaires, have all these nasty allegations. Harvey Weinstein is currently in the New York jail because he is guilty of sexually assaulting multiple women. Multiple women. A ton. And he should be in jail. It is what it is. But before he was in jail, this was one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. I won't say Hollywood, it's Hollyweird. Who he said he who he ever dinner next to, bro? Hey man, the powerful connections of Jeffrey Epstein, man. Let's watch this nasty video. Nasty world. Look at this nasty nigga, man. All front teeth, smiling like a.
You're the only one who ever yelled at me and got away with it. And I take it anytime from you. I want to see him get it too.
And a face away. Your neighbor's left you. You're looking very.
Do you see how Smiley and Giggly and all these people are around this nasty, perverted mouthful? It is what. See, that's the thing that this is what gets to me, man. This Holly weird activity, bro. These people in power, these people in influence, they know that they're nasty, but they go cool with it because of the money, because of the influence.
Lonely, and it's only $5,000 more. It's a tiny little.
By the way, is that a Q-tip?
Bag. Away.
Oh my God, that's Q-tip. Crazy. That's actually Q-tip. Oh, and for those who don't know who Q-tip is is a rapper from a tribe called Quest. He's an influential, very well-known rapper from the 90s. Conscious rapper, very talented. He's actually a very good rapper. So he's out there chilling with Harvey Weinstein, Robert De Niro, and them.
Your neighbor's left you. You're looking very lonely.
CCC. Oh my God, man. Q-Tip is there of all people? Like what the hell is going on, man? Let me tell you something, man. There was a very famous comedian that said some real ish, man. And we're gonna show some love to this dude, man. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to bro. Smash that like button, man. Let me get in the chat right quick. His name is actually in the thing. His name is actually wait. His name is actually like the thing that we were used to clean your ear. Yeah, fam. Like literally a Q-tip. His name is literally Q-tip. The rap. Yeah. He's a rapper from a tribe called Quest. Very popular New York group in the 90s. And he's a good rapper, like conscious rapper, very good rapper. But it's just so random that he's chilling with Harvey Weinstein of all people. Like what? Like what are you doing with Harvey Weinstein? I mean, the hell? You know what I mean? And Leo DiCaprio and them. Which leads me to think that in this world, again, this world, of people who are in the elites. You're talking about the richest people in the world, the most famous people in the world. It's small. When I say it's small, meaning they all know about each other. They know what they be doing. They know what's going on, right? And when one domino falls, the other are falling. See, when you look at the Epstein files, a ton of people are part of this club. It is what it is. Let's listen to this legendary talk from this dude, man. Smash the like button. Appreciate you, man. Raconte is in the building. Follow his channel. Go show him love. He just hit 100 subscribers. Shout out to my bro. Let's go.
Not too bright, folks. Not too fucking bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down.
Wait, shout out to George Carlin, man. Spitting some facts, man. Old white man spitting that.
Big wealthy business.
So let's repeat again. Education is the key, man. I'm not smart, man. I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm not smart. I do read though. I do think outside the box. I try not to be a sheep and a follower. I try to be an individual. I try not to lean into what everybody else is doing and thinking. That's why I'm telling you, man, since I was a young kid, bro, I always knew there was something messed up and wrong with these super rich elite people, bro. It's just a fact. I always thought just because you're rich and elite or you're a politician or you have all this power, don't mean you're innocent or good. I always thought you lean more towards evil. Because the closer you are to money and power, the more close you are to evil, dog. I mean, it's even biblical. It says it's easier for somebody to get through the eye of a needle than a rich person to attain the heavens or something like that. I'm misquoting it, right? It's because the closer you are to money, power, and fame, the more close you are to evil. It is what it is. He's gonna break it in. He's cooking with fish grease. Way better than I ever could. Brody is saying that these people are the elites and they're above politicians, right? They're above political structures. I'm going to say it right now. You know who's above these structures? This woman. You know who's above them structures? This guy. This guy right here. These are the people behind the scenes who are doing moves to influence your life and mine. Shout out to Omar Kont right here. It says you cannot serve two gods at the same time. Absolute facts. You got to praise the Most High. This is why I personally believe these people are satanic. They're demonic. They satanic. Their daddy is the devil. It is what it is. George Carlin, even though he's an atheist, he understands that these people are there to suck, no diddy, the soul of people, of mankind, of us who are hardworking day in and day out trying to have a life. But these disgusting monsters, demonic vampires, such as Epstein, such as Ghislaine, and many more that we're not even talking about, their job out here is to abuse children, the innocent, the good, for their own personal gain and power, for their sadistic fetish. And that's my conclusion. At least that's my analysis of the situation. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. I ain't in it. I don't want to be part of that club. I don't want to be part of the club of pedophiles, PDFs, man. I don't want to be part of the club that touches on little girls. I don't want to be part of the club that's pimping all types of women to, presidents, royals, tech billionaires. I don't want to be part of that club, bro. I don't want to be tied down with a freak, nasty, weird lady Not even a lady. She's a bitch. It is what it is. She's a bitch. I don't want to be tied up with this weird bitch who's basically an Israeli spy. I don't want to be tied up in that. I know you don't either. These are the types of people they are. And guess what? If they have dirt on you, you go to that island, right? You don't think Jeffrey Epstein's weird ass had cameras all over? You don't think he had blackmail over these people? It is what it is. So we're talking about George Carlin spinning the facts, the real saying, yo, these people are in position to screw you over. And that's how they maintain their power, by subjugating you and me. It is what it is. Mm, that's real. That's real. You know what I mean? That's real, man. Y'all get in the chat. Let me know what y'all think. You know what I mean? Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think. Ultimately, man, it's nasty work. It's nasty work, man. Now, there's something that I want to touch on, and it's the mainstream outlet and perception of the media lies and the media coverage, right? And I wanna show you why. There's individuals, or at least systems, such as CNN's mainstream, right? How have they been covering this trial, or at least these files being released? Well, let's do this. Let's do an experiment. This is some of the most consequential information that's came out in years, right? Massive news story. Let's go to YouTube. Let's go to CNN's YouTube. Let's see if they've been on top of it. I mean, where have they mentioned the Epstein files? So let's look. Well, I'm scrolling right now. Have I seen anything pertaining to it? Well, we have one. This was 3 days ago. Let's look at their coverage right quick. Let's understand it. Right? Let's go. Let's see if they actually talk about what we've been talking about tonight. Smash that like button. Let's go.
Across the Atlantic to the UK, Britain's former ambassador to the States, Peter Mandelson, is resigning from the upper house of Parliament over his ties to the late sex offender. Even more stunning, one British royal is calling out another. Prince Edward did not directly mention his older brother Andrew, who has been stripped of his royal title over his Epstein ties, but listen to Edward's comments to CNN at a summit today.
I'm not sure this is the audience that is probably the least bit interested in that. So they all came here to listen to about education solving the future. But no, I think it's all really important always to remember the victims and who are the victims in all this.
Andrew is facing more scrutiny after the latest document drop revealed this photo of him on the floor with an unidentified woman or girl. And the photographs at this point do not suggest any wrongdoing. Andrew has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, but obviously a lot of questions raised here. CNN royal correspondent Max Foster is with us now from London. Max, give us the latest on the fallout where you are.
Well, we've got lots of reports about Sarah Ferguson, Prince Andrew's ex-wife, but they were living together for a very long time, and she had lots of relationships with.
You see, there's a lot of whole crock of nonsense, man. Let's go. Let's go, man. Like, get in the chat, get active, man. What y'all think of this stupid ass?
Epstein as well, coming out through these files. So, for example, she's talking about not having £20,000 for rent. She was desperate to get hold of that. So a very deep relationship there, much bigger than we thought. Here in the UK, the focus is much more on the former UK ambassador to the US, Peter Mandelson, because that has really roller coasted.
Y'all smash that like button, man. Get active in the chat, man. I appreciate people who've been active in the chat. Shout out to my boy. Shout out to my other homie, Sleepy, in the chat, man. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting the movement. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Let's go, gang.
Initially, we heard a statement from the Speaker of the House. He read out a statement effectively from Peter Mandelson, who's a member of the House of Lords. Let's just have a listen to that.
My Lords, given the public interest and for the convenience of the House, I've decided to inform the House that the Clerk of the Parliament has today received notification from Lord Mandelson of his intention to retire from the House, effective from 4th February. I will formally notify this to the House tomorrow in the usual way.
So he leaves the House of Lords, he keeps his title of Lord, but in an extraordinary move, the Prime Minister has introduced legislation tonight calling for his title to be stripped from him too. Why? This
was about 3 days ago, right? And CNN, as a massive news outlet, they are covering the British angle. Why? Why? Why not go to the deeper levels of multiple elites beyond the British level? Let's go.
Because there were correspondence in the Epstein files between Epstein and Mandelson, which suggests that Mandelson, as business secretary under Prime Minister Gordon Brown, was leaking internal government information, market-sensitive information, which Epstein could have used to make money, effectively. And the government launched an investigation, very quickly found correspondence which they were alarmed about. They've sent that to the police. Gordon Brown has sent correspondence to the police as well. And tonight, in the last half hour, we've heard the British police are...
Yes, by the way. Yeah, that person, individuals who are in the British Parliament, royalty, they were part of Epstein files. The biggest example, again, is Prince Andrew. So let me give y'all context. Prince Andrew is I think he is the brother of Queen Elizabeth, right? So his royal title would be Prince Andrew. Now, why this gets interesting is because once you are part of the royal family, you have royal tasks you have to do, and you're also financed by the British public. So the taxes that the people in Britain get, they go to maintaining this man's lifestyle. Now, if his lifestyle, like it shows in Epstein files, includes dealing with minors and a whole pedophile PDF file, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would not be about that. You know what I mean? And this British ambassador, he was a big part of the Epstein files. Let's go.
Investigating Peter Mandelson, the first criminal investigation coming out of this latest drop of Epstein files.
That is quite the bombshell. Max Foster, thank you so much for the latest there. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have reached a deal to testify in the House investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. The agreement means they will avoid a contempt of Congress vote. Sources telling CNN the Clintons...
Now, again, this matters. Again, I kind of like now that they're talking about this. And it matters because think about it like this. CNN, again, is a left-leaning platform, right? They're left, center left. Maybe you could even go as far as calling them full left wing. They are going to cover and not going to be critical of generally Democrats or left-leaning political figures. In other words, they're going to do their best to cover Clintons and their involvement in Epstein files. Let me tell you something. Bill Clinton was all over the Epstein files, bro. Bill Clinton was in the flight logs with pictures, with girls, all type of ish. Right? But CNN, since their campaign is to hate on Trump, they're not going to talk about the Clintons because the Clintons were all over the files, way more than Trump. Right? So they have a clear bias agenda. Let's hear their bias again. Let's go. Now, once you understand that, that gives you a frame of reference. Let's get to it. Again, just because you're in the files doesn't mean that you did anything. So Clintons are presumed innocent, but it looks MF and bad. It looks horrible, bro. It is what it is.
Will be deposed on February 26th and 27th, but they've...
Let's rewind back.
Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have reached a deal to testify in the House investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. The agreement means they will avoid a contempt of Congress vote. Sources telling CNN the Clintons will be deposed on February 26th and 27th, but they've added a new twist. They want to answer the Oversight Committee's questions in a public hearing. It's not clear if the Republican chair, Congressman James Comer, will accept that request. President Clinton has never been accused of any wrongdoing with Epstein, and his spokesman has said Clinton denies knowing of Epstein's crimes.
Now, this is interesting. Now, these hearings are usually not in a public platform, they're in private. Why do they want it to be public? I think they want people, the general public, us to see them being grilled by Congress people. Why does that matter? Because it gives more transparency. Why does that matter? Because they're investigating specifically Bill Clinton of doing illegal things with minors, right? Now, you see these pictures. It's clear that they were friends with Epstein. Just because you're friends with a pervert doesn't mean you did perverted things. It just looks horrible on you. Is it possible that the Clintons have paid people off? Have paid off victims? Is it possible that they pop their victims? With the Clintons, anything's possible. This is the power component. This is the power component of my stream. Power and connections, bro. Money and power. It's a dance.
And cut off their relationship before they came to light. Last night, the Deputy Attorney General once again signaled there will likely be no further criminal charges stemming from the Epstein files.
It is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. And so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein. And some of these men may have done horrible things.
I hate that. I hate that. I hate that this Deputy Attorney General who works at Pam Bondi, works underneath the Trump administration, is saying they're signaling that nothing's going to happen. No justice will be resolved. They're signaling that they gave us this information to tease us and nothing will come out of it. Let's go.
And if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein.
Let's bring in Sarah Fitzpatrick of The Atlantic, an investigative reporter who has covered Jeffrey Epstein extensively. And just first, what is your reaction there to what we heard from Todd Blanche, and what are survivors telling you about it?
I mean, I think it's really hard to square what Todd Blanche is saying there versus what he has spent money on for the Justice Department, of taking hundreds and hundreds of attorneys to review these documents, to work overtime. Like, if there's likely to be no charges, why was there such a huge commitment of resources that have been pulled away?
That's a huge fact. Why did any of this exercise done? Well, I have a theory. My theory is all of this was done to pacify the public. It was there to pacify the public. See, you and me, part of society, we don't want to believe, or at least we don't want to have the perception, that these people who are rich, powerful, and all that and above, and famous, are actually perverted, messed up, decrepit, degenerate people. Right? We don't want to believe that. Because if we saw and actually fully understood how messed up they were, we would revolt against them. So in order to pacify us, they released these files and showed y'all a sneak peek, a little preview of what they have going down. Ultimately, nobody is going to get charged with this. And they're going to hope that they can pull out another distraction to have us move on. So they did this as a PR or a marketing tactic because they didn't plan to put nobody in jail, right? Not only did they not plan to put nobody in jail, the main person, the pimp, the PDF, he apparently got popped or he offed himself. And the second in command, she's allegedly in jail, receiving the softest punishment of all time. How about the other people, man? What happens to Chris Tucker? Nothing. What happens to Prince Andrew? Nothing. What happens to Jay-Z? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing's gonna happen to these MFers because this was not a real thing, man. This was a fake out. Let's go.
From other violent crimes and other things that are in desperate need of law enforcement attention.
He says it's not a crime to party with Epstein. It's not a crime to email with him. That's certainly true. But you've heard critics of what he's saying say it's very curious to party with Epstein or ask to go to his island or email with him after you know that he is a convicted pedophile. And that raises a lot of questions. And the DOJ should be more interested in investigating that. So where does that leave things and why aren't they?
I think it's a very curious question that we have never gotten a good answer to. This investigation, unfortunately, has been mishandled by multiple administrations, both Democratic and Republican, at the local level and at the federal level. And so what I think it reflects is the Trump DOJ kind of came in that we're going to release these files, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And now we're seeing.
By the way, I want to just say this. This is horrible for Trump and his DOJ. It makes them look like phony liars. It makes them look like finessers. It makes them look like people who are not about nothing, right? Ultimately, what do we want? At least what do I want? I want accountability. Y'all get in the chat. Let me know what y'all want. I want accountability. If you're going to release all this information about these people, right? If you're going to tell me that the former Israeli prime minister is setting you up with all these connections, right? You're talking about all these individuals, right? You're talking about the Jay-Z's. You're talking about the Chris Tuckers. You're talking about Prince Andrew, right? You're talking about Bill Clinton. All these people, right, that are in y'all files. All these people, you're talking about Elon Musk. All these people that wanted to party with you, that wanted to deal with you, all them niggas, all them motherfuckers. Nothing happens to them. Nothing. Where's the accountability at? Where's the justice for victims? Why are we not investigating the real victims? Right? There's somebody who was a huge part of this entire thing that I want to mention and I want to give her respect. Her name is Virginia Dufresne. Rest in peace, right? Y'all get in the chat, man. Let me know if y'all followed what happened to this lady. Virginia Dufresne was one of the accusers of Jeffrey Epstein, right? She was one of the people who made it clear that she was a minor and she was at the island in these flight logs, so on and so forth. One of the most famous pictures of her was Prince Andrew here, British monarch, her and Ghislaine Maxwell, who we can get into her history another time. They taking pictures on that island. And she would speak out and say, hey, man, we got to get justice. We got to have understanding. Virginia Dufresne was one of the people who helped get Jeffrey Epstein in jail in 2019, right? One of the victims. She committed, she unalived herself, allegedly, last year, right? Before the full files came out. Right? Where's her justice? Prince Andrew's not going to see a jail cell. I hope he does. Ghislaine Maxwell is in a jail cell, but apparently her jail cell is not that harsh. You know what I'm saying? So where's the justice at? Again, I say this was all an exercise of PR and marketing. And for me, as somebody who actually likes Trump, I think Trump messed up majorly in this whole endeavor. And him and his department end up looking super goofy. Let's go, bro. Let's finish off at least some of I'm surprised that this is actually good reporting. Shout out to this Sarah Fitzpatrick lady. She's doing all right.
That there have been no,
They things prior was some BS though. Let's go.
as far as we can tell, no major law enforcement steps taken. You know, for example, the Clintons, I was talking to sources who have said, no, the Clintons have never been questioned by law enforcement, which, of course, you need probable cause. You need, you know, certain steps need to be met before you would bring someone in for questioning. But it suggests a kind of lack of interest and a lack of following all of those leads. Anyone who, especially because Epstein was charged, and Maxwell were charged with trafficking, which means the moving of people for the purpose of sex. Anyone who was at these parties, who had knowledge of their whereabouts, how communications were done, how the planning was, they have material information that would be important to investigators. So it just suggests that this was never really about getting answers, and especially answers that might not reflect well on the Justice Department.
So what should lawmakers be interested in learning from the Clintons?
I think there's a lot to be learned about, you know, Epstein's behavior, his confidants, how he, you know, how he responded to allegations, questions about even how he made his money. One of the things that has been so frustrating for me as an investigative reporter is up until these files were released over the weekend, it was very unclear what Jeffrey Epstein did all day. Now I have a better sense, which is email a lot, and cultivate this network very deliberately. But I think there's anyone who was in his orbit who.
That nigga was pimping. I'm just gonna say it bluntly. The nigga was pimping. He was setting up these nerds, these politicians, these rich dudes with chicks and little girls. Disgusting, messed up, but that's what he was doing. He was not doing tax preparation. He was not giving them financial advice. This dude was an idiot. Jeffrey Epstein was stupid, guys. I'm just keeping it. It's stupid. Now, was he able to network his way, to pimp his way, to making a lot of money, to blackmail his way? We're going to talk about that in the back end before I finish the stream. Yes. Yes, he was. He was getting dudes. By the way, y'all get in the chat. Y'all like the stream. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. He was getting individuals like Elon Musk begging to go to his parties, begging to go to his island. Perverted, messed up. I'm happy. Look, I hope Epstein is dead. I pray he is. Because let me tell you, if I seen Epstein right now, I'll put 2 in his dome piece right now. Pop, pop. Maybe a third one. It is what it is. I pop him in his ish. Well, you have individuals like Elon Musk, Jay-Z, Pusha T, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton trying to connect with you. It's not because they like you. It's because they know that you have the prostitutes. You have the sex workers. It is what it is. And among those sex workers, unfortunately, are women that are trafficked without their consent. It's nasty. It's disgusting. It is what it is. It's messed up. But if you guys are ultimately not doing anything at the end to get justice, to get things done, what was this whole exercise about? Let's go.
Understood who was involved, who may have had knowledge. That's all relevant information. It doesn't mean that they were aware of criminality, but it means that they have insight that might bring investigators towards people that did.
And then on this issue of redactions, there is a hearing tomorrow, and you have lawyers for victims saying, Yeah, our victims sort of trusted DOJ to have all of these files put out, but you put out these files with a ton of their personal information in it. It was a failure of DOJ. What's going to happen with the files and with what they're asking for?
It's unclear. So there'll be a hearing tomorrow in New York, and a judge will hear arguments from lawyers for the victims as well as representatives from the government. I think it would be quite extraordinary to take down this volume of information once it has already been disseminated. I think there's not a lot of great legal precedent.
By the way, I want to say this. If y'all send a super chat, I'll take this. Send a super chat. I low-key want to take one of these. That's apple juice, by the way. YouTube, that's apple juice. Audio listeners, this is apple juice that I'm planning to take. You dig? Send a super chat. Once y'all send a super chat, I might indulge. Just go.
For that. However, it was a real, there were so many months, there was so much time, there were so many people who were involved in preparing for this release. And the fact that it is done so haphazardly indicates either a lack of attention or a kind of perhaps some other motive. And I think that's what a judge will have to evaluate.
Ultimately, I think the Sarah Fitzpatrick lady is correct. It is an intentional lack of care and almost a tossing out. Again, I'm going to give the blame to the Trump administration. You have an individual here who was, it is what it is, he was pimping for these elites. It is what it is, right? Now, for what purpose? For what reason? I said it earlier and I will say it again. It's because of the elites. Who are the elites? Why? He's a spy. He's a spy. Now, what leads me to think that he's a spy? Let's talk about him. This is about the end of the stream. Get in the chat. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Again, smash that like button. Let's talk about it. Let's turn back the clock. All right? Let's turn back the clock. There's somebody in this whole tale called Ghislaine Maxwell. Right? She's alive right now. Right? And not only is she alive right now, she's currently in jail. Right? He's currently in jail, convicted of these things. Let's give some background again. I'm gonna read at least her Wikipedia biography, and then we're gonna get to a deeper level, and we're gonna dive a little bit deeper to this entire mix, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love, man. Let's talk about it. Ghislaine Noel Marion Maxwell is a British former socialite. She's a socialite. In 2021, she was found guilty of child sex trafficking and other offenses in connection with the deceased financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The following year, she was sentenced to 20 years of imprisonment in the United States. So she got the same charges as Jeffrey, right? Because she was doing the same things as Jeffrey. Now, my theory is that she was the main reason. She was the driver here. Why was she driving it? We're gonna get to that. Yeah. Y'all get in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. We're gonna get to that. Born in France and raised in Oxford, England, she attended Balliol College, Oxford in the 1980s and became a prominent member of London's social scene. She is a naturalized American citizen and retains both French and British citizenship. Maxwell worked for her father, Robert Maxwell. This is going to be very important very, very soon. Y'all stay tuned. Until his death in 1991, she then moved to New York City, where she continued living as a socialite and developed a close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Alongside Epstein, so let's understand this. She again went to America, maintained a close relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, she was his bottom bitch. I'm just gonna say it. She was his bottom bitch. And if y'all don't know what a bottom bitch is, let me put. Okay, what is a bottom bitch? Hey man, it is what it is. Let me read it. In American pimp culture, a bottom bitch, a bottom girl, is the highest ranking prostitute in the pimp's hierarchy. Typically the most trusted, longest serving, and highest earning. She holds power over other prostitutes, managers, finances, trades recruits, and acts as a deputy for the pimp. The term originated in the 1960s. Hmm? What did the girl say? Clock it? Y'all get in the chat, clock it. Ghislaine Maxwell was the bottom beat. That's what she was. So let's read more about her and why this matters. I think she was more than a bottom bitch. I think she was the driver. And this is not even a new theory. It's a theory that's kind of refreshed and rehashed because a lot of people thought this because her own father worked with government agencies. Let's read this. Let's keep on going. Y'all get in the chat. Let me know y'all thoughts. By the way, like the stream. Thank you so much who already like the stream. Send that super chat if y'all like the content that I'm doing. I'm gonna be out of here soon, but thank you so much for spending the night with me. Thank you so much for giving me that like, that 5 stars, that shares. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Let's go. Alongside Epstein, Maxwell built up a vast social network consisting of various prominent elites. You went through that. We went through that. Documents released by the United States Department of Justice revealed that she maintained relationships with Naomi Campbell. Oh, Prince Andrew. Oh, Bill Clinton. Oh, Kerry Kennedy. We got the Kennedys here. Interesting. Maxwell was arrested by the United States Federal Bureau of FBI and charged with the U.S. federal government in July 2020 with the crimes of enticing of minors and ex trafficking of underage girls. Disgusting. Disgusting. Related to her association with Epstein as his recruiter. Guys, let's go back to what I said, bro. It's a bottom B. If you're in the game, a woman who is actively recruiting other women for you is a bottom. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It is what the hell it is, right? It is what the hell it is. So let's get to it. She was the one who was doing most of the work for Epstein. There's reports that Epstein himself had low testosterone. He was not as active as you may think he was. What he was potentially a useful idiot for the main mastermind. And I'm going to tell you, I think this Wheel was the mastermind. Not even I think I know. Let's keep on going. Maxwell was arrested. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's get back to the end. As his main recruiter. She was denied bail as a flight risk, with a judge expressing concerns related to her completely opaque finances. In other words, she was getting bread in weird ways. Her skill of living and hiding, and the fact that France does not extradite its citizen. She was convicted on 5 or 6 counts, including sex trafficking of a minor, December 2021. All right. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Here's where it gets very interesting. And I'm going to read this article because it kind of matters. Not even kind of, it definitely matters. By the way, smash that like button. Send some, you know what? You know what it is? You know what? If y'all ain't gonna send no super chat, F it. It's Friday night. Cheers to us. This is apple juice, by the way. We gonna sip one. Gonna show love. Y'all better sip one too. Let's go. Mm. and I did a halfie. I didn't do the full thing. Y'all send y'all send a super chat. I might do the whole thing. I might do the whole thing. I might do the whole thing. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's talk about it. Here's where it gets very interesting. Here's where the plot, in a sense, for me at least, it thickens. Because now, at least on our timeline of events, is that Ghislaine Maxwell is now in jail. She's been convicted of ex trafficking, all these things. Epstein has allegedly offed himself. And here is her in jail. And this is where it gets interesting, right? In July 23rd, 2025, Chairman James Comer of the United States Oversight Committee subpoenaed Maxwell to testify under oath about her involvement with Epstein. She answered on 29 July through her lawyer, demanding immunity from further prosecution. Comer said the immunity or advanced knowledge of questions was a non-starter. On November 25, Comer said Maxwell's lawyer had informed him that she would refuse to respond to any questions if forced to testify. So it's a legal battle. She does not want to testify and talk about her dealings. It is what it is. Interest in her case, says journalist Michael Wolff, had peaked with the July 17 publication of the Rupert Murdoch Wall Street Journal of a 50th birthday letter of congratulations to Epstein from Trump, who immediately filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the newspaper. Wow, okay. The scrapbook had compiled in 2003 by Maxwell. U.S. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, we saw Todd Blanche earlier, who in 2024 had defended Trump and in 2025 was appointed by Trump in the inaugural cleansing of the United States Department of Justice, interviewed Maxwell on 24 and 25 July 2025. During the interview, Maxwell said that Trump had not done anything of concern in her presence. Now, this is this is tricky because guess what? You have the current president in power who put the new guy in power for the DOJ, Todd Blanche, who had actually worked with the former president, this guy. So don't you think that this guy would convince this woman to say good things about his boss? Absolutely. Why? Because if you're going to interview this woman, wouldn't it make sense for you to make sure that this woman says good things about your boss who was potentially in them files? Yes, it would. Let's read the shit. All right. Let's keep on reading. All right. In August 1st, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Prisons, confirmed that Maxwell had been transferred. The from FCI Tallahassee to federal prison camp Byron in Byron, Texas, a minimum security facility. Among the facilities, the lowest level security in the federal system, unlimited to no perimeter fencing, dormitory style housing, and relatively low staff to inmate ratio, regarded as one of the best federal prisons to serve in. The White House told reporters that she had received no preferential treatment and suggested that her move was routine. Again, guys, let's use our brains. Wouldn't it make sense for this dude who used to work for Trump, got a promotion by Trump, would talk to this woman and say, yo, don't dime out and snitch out my boss, and I will set you up with a very easy prison bid to what is described as one of the, let me read that again. Let me read it again. One of the best prisons for serving time in. Let's use our brain, people. Let's use our brain, people. Let's use our brain. She got a talking to from him, and she made an agreement. She made a deal. What am I talking about? I'm saying that this woman is smarter than she seems, and this woman is a big reason as to why Jeffrey Epstein did what he did. Let's read the rest of this. Right? On August 5th, Raja, I'm not saying that last name, a U.S. representative, proposed the House Committee on Judiciary House Resolution 119-636, which affirms that Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction and sentencing were more than warranted by the facts, and any recipient of pardon, commutation, or any form of clemency by Ghislaine Maxwell would deny survivors the justice they deserve and formally oppose the granting of pardon, commutation, and order forms. Okay, right. Therefore, Joseph Schmidt, the acting deputy chief of special operations for the Department of Justice, was caught on video claiming that Maxwell was transferred to a lesser security prison as a way to keep her mouth shut. Bingo. We reached there. We reached there. Again, Todd Blanche made a sideways deal with Ghislaine Maxwell to shut the hell up and not snitch on my boss so that you can have an easy stay. See, these are things that happen on the back end that you and me, regular people, don't get privy of. Anyways, let's read more about this. Right. Keep her mouth shut from countering anything said by the administration. The DOJ and Schmidt himself responded on September 4th, 2025 by stating that Schmidt had no connection to the Epstein case, and on August 22nd, the Department of Justice released transcripts and recordings of interviews with Maxwell. Okay, they made up some BS. November 2025, the U.S. Congressman Jamie Raskin, Democrat, responded that a whistleblower had informed them that Maxwell was receiving special treatment during her incarceration at the minimum security prison, including having custom meals delivered to her. Oh my God. Allowed to bring computers during visits, access to a service dog and training. So let me remind you again, this same woman who did just as many crimes as her alleged boyfriend or pimp is having a service dog, computers, minimum security prison, all this ish so she can shut her mouth. Wow. And the warden sent out documents and email on her behalf. The alleged privileges spark a probe into the Trump administration. Fairly so. Brother, if you are letting this accused PDF file, accused woman to get away with the nonsense, brother, in December 2025, Max Sills, yo, I'm gonna be right back, man. Y'all listen to this video while I'm
and various security companies. I mean, all of these in all the different countries that he apparently had sway and inside information into. The connections he helped make with, with Ehud Barak and various security companies. I mean, all of these in all the different countries that he apparently had sway and inside information into. I'm like, wow, it's incredible how much power this unelected pedophile had in the world.
Well, that unelected pedophile with all his power working on behalf of intelligence, well, that's how he had that power to begin with. Now, the real question is, when we say Epstein worked for intelligence, what are we referring to? Specifically, Israel and the CIA. Same, by the way, same. Now, you wouldn't know that if you simply consumed US corporate media, because they are going out of their way to bury that, avoid reporting on it, and in fact, divert your attention to something entirely different. Before we get to that, Cenk, your 2 cents.
Yeah, I think the way that they are pretending that it was Russia instead of Israel, as we're about to show you, really reveals their hand. Because we're gonna show you how it's clearly not Russia. They have access to the same material. So any outlet, any media outlet saying it's Russia is not just getting the story a little wrong, or it could be Russia and Israel. No, they're purposely putting Russia out there to mislead you so you don't realize it's Israel, because the evidence is overwhelming. So let's get to it.
So despite all that evidence that Cenk is alluding to, some of which we've shown you on this program, which links Epstein specifically to Israel, well, you still have many of the usual suspects.
I'm back, y'all. I'm back, y'all. Before we finish off the Ghislaine Maxwell angle and we get to the Israel and Russia angle, I want to say this, right? Maxwell's attorney in December 25, Maxwell's attorney informed the judge the pending release of Epstein's document would prevent her from receiving a fair retrial should one be granted. Having run out of options for appeal, Maxwell sought extraordinary relief through a habeas petition, which was filed without a lawyer. In the habeas petition, she mentioned 4 unindicted co-conspirators. Okay, he's about to snitch some people, and alleged the Justice Department had reached secret settlements. Oh, secret settlements with 25 men who were not persecuted. Ooh. In December 17th court filing, she claimed that the evidence she claimed to have evidence that she had not received a fair trial. The federal judge rebuked Maxwell for including unredacted victim names in her filings, which were later sealed. Okay, so let's summarize back. Let's shake back to what we're basically seeing. She, Ghislaine Maxwell, heard that the Epstein files are coming out. She wants a retrial so that she can get freed. Okay? She now alleges that the DOJ, Todd Blanchard, then made side deals to get 25 men off the Epstein files and not necessarily found guilty. She says this in her own filings. Does she have a point? I think so. But she's still a sicko, right? Leads us now again to the interesting part about, in my eyes, right? Very interesting part about the Russia-Israeli connection. And I like this post. I like this post, so I'm going to show y'all what it says here. Smash that like button, man. Get in the chat. It says, don't shoot, I'm regarded. I'm not going to say, prove it. Epstein was a Russian asset. Hilarious. Let's react to this Young Turks video where they talk about that connection. Let's go.
Trying to lead you in the wrong direction. And what do I mean?
The connections he helped make with Ehud Barak and various security companies. I mean, all of these and all the different.
Again, like I say, y'all smash that. Y'all smash that super chat button. I'm gonna turn up on y'all. Let's go.
Countries that he apparently had sway and inside information into. I'm like, wow, it's incredible how much power this unelected pedophile had in the world.
Well, that unelected pedophile with all his power working on behalf of intelligence, well, that's how he had that power to begin with. Now, the real question is, when we say Epstein worked for intelligence, what are we referring to? Specifically, Israel and the CIA. Same, by the way, same. Now, you wouldn't know that if you simply consumed US corporate media, because they are going out of their way to bury that, avoid reporting on it, and in fact, divert your attention to something entirely different. Before we get to that, Cenk, your 2 cents.
Yeah, I think the way that they are pretending that it was Russia instead of Israel, as we're about to show you, really reveals their hand. Because we're gonna show you how it's clearly not Russia. They have access to the same material. So any outlet, any media outlet saying it's Russia is not just getting the story a little wrong, or it could be Russia and Israel. No, they're purposely putting Russia out there to mislead you so you don't realize it's Israel, because the evidence is overwhelming. So let's get to it.
So despite all that evidence that Cenk is alluding to, some of which we've shown you on this program, which links Epstein specifically to Israel, well, you still have many of the usual suspects trying to lead you in the wrong direction. And what do I mean by usual suspects? Well, remember, CBS News is now headed by Barry Weiss, an unapologetic and fanatical Zionist. And here's what they're pushing.
Poland says it's looking into possible connections between convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and Russian intelligence services. The announcement came after the US Justice Department last week released millions more files related to the federal investigation into Epstein. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said Tuesday, quote, more and more leads, more and more information, and more commentary in the global press all relate to the suspicion that this unprecedented pedophilia scandal was co-organized by Russian intelligence services.
That's amazing. That's incredible news. I would like to see those files because I can't find them. Now, there are files that discuss Russia, but specifically emails that Epstein is sending in regard to connecting Ehud Barak to some of the contacts he might have in Russia, specifically so Ehud Barak can attend some sort of, it's known as the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. Epstein had a relationship with the head of the forum, a guy by the name of Sergei Belyakov, and he helped Barak, meaning Ehud Barak, secure private meetings with senior figures in the Russian government. Now, did he do that at the behest of Russia, or did he do that at the behest of Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel? You're gonna tell me that Epstein was a spy for Russia? That's amazing. Now, there's other examples I wanna give you. Here's another one, sadly from LBC, which some of their programming I really like, but this post is total crap. Former MI6 spy insists Jeffrey Epstein was recruited by Russian organized criminals and likely had compromat on Trump.
Yes.
Let's stop this, man. All this nonsense, they're trying to pin this, that, and the third on Trump. Okay, look. Is it possible that Trump was involved in all this nonsense? Yes, absolutely. Actually, even likely. What I think ultimately is this was a Mossad honey trap. They wanted the dirt and information on these individuals in order to entrap them and have them by the balls. Let's go.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, so I have more. I have evidence to the contrary, but Cenk, I want you to jump in first.
Yeah. So in the emails, you see Epstein doing several things with Putin, and that's why Putin is mentioned a lot in the emails. So that's the thing that Israel first is hanging their hat on. Well, he said Putin a lot, he said Russia a lot. Yeah, but what did he say? So in some cases, he is successful in setting up meetings with the Russians. So Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, asked for a meeting with Putin, and it appears that Epstein delivers on that meeting. So that shows you, oh my God, Epstein is one of the most powerful people on earth to be able to set that up. But in other instances, he is repeatedly trying to get a meeting with Putin on his own and can't. Well, wait, if you're working for Russian intelligence, and you see him, okay, here, have Anna give you the exact.
I wanna give you the exact details here. So these are in my notes because I wanted to be specific. So throughout 2015, and you find this in the correspondences in Epstein's emails. Throughout 2015, Epstein continued his attempts to arrange a meeting with Vladimir Putin to discuss economic matters, emailing the former Norwegian prime minister in July of 2015 stating, I still would like to meet Putin and talk economy. I would really appreciate your assistance. So as late as 2015, homeboy can't get in touch with.
So again, yeah, like they're saying, if you can't get in touch with Putin, right? Right. How were you one of his assets? Right? Meaning, how can you work for a dude you can't get in touch with? Makes zero sense. Let's go.
Putin. He's never met with Putin. He can't get in touch with Putin, and he's unable to reach him in any way. So explain to me how the leader of Russia has no relationship whatsoever with Jeffrey Epstein, who's allegedly a spy for Russia.
Hold on, one more important thing, Anna. Who did he ask to set up that meeting?
The Norwegian prime minister.
So why, if you're working for the Russians, why would you have to go to the Norwegian prime minister to try to get a meeting with the Russians?
Weird.
Bingo, 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 bingo.
So like all the reporters at Free Press, CBS, New York Post, et cetera, have seen that, and they still wrote it as if he works for the Russians. That's a purposeful lie.
There's more. These interactions with the Norwegian prime minister, these interactions occurred during a time when Epstein was actively trying to boost his standing in Russia and leverage connections to friends in the FSB.
So again, this guy, this creepo, this weirdo, Jeffrey Epstein is trying to make connections in Russia, right? And why? Because he wants compromising information. Why? He wants bread. He wants bread, he wants compromising information. But why is mainstream media linking and latching onto that Russia hoax or connection? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, okay, so he's trying to leverage it, but he can't get there. Okay, now, guys.
Again, y'all, all I do is facts over frenzy. I don't like TYT, man. I'm not a progressive. I'm not liberal. I consider myself center right wing. But when they're spitting, they're spitting. It is what it is. I'm not gonna hate.
At the same time, we're gonna get to all the things that connect him to Israel in a second. But every time there's a story that might implicate Israel, we see in our news outlets, Russia. Russia.
Yep, Russia's always the scapegoat.
Now, here's another thing that those non-reporters don't tell you is that Russia and Israel are opposed to one another. Do they sometimes make deals behind the scenes? Yes. By the way, that happens all the time. Our press never reports on it. Israel make deals with Turkey from time to time.
Yes, even though these countries beef, they sometimes make deals. Russia and Israel don't like each other, not even the slightest. So let me bring up something interesting here. The current president, aka Lucifer, Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, by the way, the synagogue of Satan, dude said here, he tweeted this like yesterday. Jeffrey Epstein's unusual close relationship with Ahmad Barak doesn't suggest Epstein worked for Israel. It proves the opposite. Hilarious. Stuck on his election loss from over 2 decades ago. Ironically, the loss, I believe, was to Bibi, Benjamin Netanyahu Lucifer. Barak has for years obsessively attempted to undermine Israelis' democracy by working with the anti-Zionist radical left in failed attempt to overthrow the elected Israeli government. Barak's upset personal fixation led him to engage in activities publicly and behind the scenes to undermine the government of Israel, including funneling mass protest movement, fomenting unrest, and feeding false media narratives. Long story short, dude is trying to put Barack, whatever, away from Israel. Dude, he used to be the PM of Israel. You trying to take him away from Israel? Dumb nigga. He was close to Israel. He was close to Jeffrey Epstein. What do you think he was doing?
Nobody
Dumb
is
nigga.
ever the wiser, right? And then it'll leak, et cetera, and we'll bring it to you guys, right? But overall, Russia was backing Iran and Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and Israel hated that. In fact, one of the reasons why we're so knee-deep in Ukraine is because Israel loves that we are weakening Russia with that war, because it helped them get distracted, and it allowed Israel and Turkey to bomb Bashar al-Assad and get him out of Syria.
So they can take some land.
So Russia is the idea that that Russia and Israel are the same, or oh my God, and I've now seen this absurdity where some are putting out the propaganda that, oh no, Israel's just a colony of Russia. Russia's actually in charge. That's not remotely true. No, they're totally opposed on that. So it's and then finally the comical part, New York Post at the end of their compromat article, ironic, this propaganda article about, oh, I think it's the Russians, right? And New York Post is Murdoch owned 100% of the tank for Israel throughout the last 30 years. We've shown you hundreds of examples, right? So at the end, they go, Robert Maxwell is another connection. And I'm like, oh, they mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, who was a legendary Israeli spy. Maybe they're gonna actually throw something true in there. They say, who was of course a spy for the KGB. Oh,
okay.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to actual journalists for a minute. Okay, the real journalist.
Now let's keep it a bean. Something that I was wanting to touch on again. Robert Maxwell, who was the father of Ghislaine Maxwell. Right? He was a spy. Let's go on his Wikipedia. Mossad. Let's say this. By allegations, right? Robert Maxwell has been suspected of having ties to multiple intelligence agencies, including MI6, the Soviet KGB, and the Israeli Mossad. The British Foreign Office suspected the Maxwell had being a secret agent of foreign government, possibly a double agent or triple agent, in a thorough bad character, almost certainly financed by Russia. Shortly after Maxwell's death, Ari Ben Mena, an employee of Israel's military intelligence directorate, approached a number of news organizations in Britain and the US with the allegations that Maxwell and Larry Mears, foreign editor Nicholas Davis, had both were both longtime agents for Mossad. Okay. Ben Mathis also claimed that in 1986, Maxwell informed the Israeli embassy in London that Mordecai Venu revealed information that Israel's nuclear capacity to the Sunday Times, then to Daily Mirror. Venu had subsequently kidnapped by Mossad and smuggled to Israel, convicted of treason and imprisoned for 18 years. So with that backdrop, that helps you understand who Ghislaine is. Her pops is. Let's go.
Because it's funny, back in October of last year, Dropsite News, while they were reporting on the leaked Epstein emails, had reported about what you just mentioned in regard to what Israel was trying to get Russia to do in Syria. So the piece, if you want to read it for yourselves, and they don't put their content behind a paywall, although if you could afford it, please support the work they do because they're amazing. But the piece, if you want to read it for yourself, is titled Jeffrey Epstein and the Mossad: How the Sex Trafficker Helped Israel Build a Back Channel to Russia Amid Syrian Civil War. Hijacked emails show how Jeffrey Epstein and former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak tried to engineer a Russian-led solution to remove Bashar al-Assad. That's what Israel wanted. They wanted him to be removed. We're not friends with Russia. We don't get along with Russia, but how can we convince Putin to work with us, okay?
So two quick things about that. Notice it's not Epstein trying to get the Russians to like work on behalf of the Russians to get Israel to do something.
He's working on behalf of the Israelis.
On behalf of the Israelis to get the Russians to do something. And the second point is he can't. In that case, it does not work. So it's obvious that he's working for the Israelis. It's not even close, and this is one of many evidences. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna give you the relevant excerpts from this piece where they say that the trove of emails exchanged at the height of the Syrian civil war between 2013 and 2016 reveal Epstein's successful efforts to secure a private meeting between Barak and Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss a Russian brokered end to the conflict, including winning Russian support for negotiated removal of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Together, Barak and Epstein sought to pressure the Obama administration to either intervene directly in the Syrian war or make concessions to the Kremlin in exchange for Assad's graceful exit. So basically what they were doing is they were reaching out to Putin, and in order to get Putin to do what they want with Syria and Bashar al-Assad, they were going to try to get the US, I guess, to lift sanctions on Russia after the Crimea invasion. Like they're working out various deals, like various ways to convince Putin to play ball and help them in ousting Bashar al-Assad. But you want to know something? It didn't work. It didn't work. So let me give you more. So despite securing a sit down, it didn't work. And then
So ultimately, this is influence from a former power figure in Israel to get Russia to follow this. That's how it's looking like. Let's go.
They didn't succeed in convincing Russia to support Assad's ouster, but their negotiations set the stage for US-Russia cooperation on disarmament of Russia's chemical weapons arsenal. Syria's chemical weapons arsenal a few months later. Now, look, does it sound like he's working for Russia?
No, he's trying to convince the Russians because he clearly 100.
Bingo, 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 bingo. So yeah, correct. It seems like dude is trying to negotiate or try to work with Russia rather than working for them. Right? Because if you're working for them, these things they're not even negotiated, they go, right? Or they're more standard in form. This sounds like he's formally trying to negotiate with them. Let's go.
100% does not work for Russia. Instead, every deal he makes, including this one, is on behalf of who? Israel.
Exactly.
And our entire media says, I can't see it.
After their failed attempt to remove Assad, Ehud Barak and Jeffrey Epstein sought to leverage the Russian channel again in 2015 as Barak pushed for US strikes on Iran and rejected Obama's nuclear deal framework. Did that work? Did Russia go after Iran after that?
No, they didn't. So obviously it doesn't work for Russia. And by the way, notice in this email and many other emails, Epstein is constantly trying to pressure the American government to bomb Syria, to bomb Iran on behalf of who? Nigeria, Russia, Kazakhstan? No,
it's clearly Israel, yeah. So he's trying to influence multiple governments, specifically the Russian government, the US government, for the benefit of Israel, right? Because if Syria is destabilized, that benefits Israel. It is what it is.
Every single time, Israel.
Exactly. Now,
there's a certain level of anti-Semitism, which I think TYT does show. It is what it is. That is retarded or stupid. But they have a healthy skepticism. Sometimes it leans on retardation. But if I was to suspect an agency of dealing with Epstein, I suspect they're Israelis. Let's go.
When it comes to Russia, you can't find a clear link to Epstein working for Russia, operating a blackmail operation on behalf of Russia. However, you do see Jeffrey Epstein working real hard on behalf of another country, and of course, that's Israel. So look, everyone's focusing on what just got released by the DOJ in terms of the Epstein files, and you should be reading those. And we gave you numerous examples that show Epstein was doing work for Israel. But even before that, guys, as you know, if you watch this show regularly, Dropsite News had already done extensive reporting on all the various deals that Jeffrey Epstein had made on behalf of the Israelis. So I'll give you a few examples. This is another headline from Dropsite News. Leadership would like your help. Indian billionaire tapped Jeffrey Epstein before Modi's visits to US and Israel. New Department of Justice documents reveal Epstein's direct role in fostering ties between Indian, Israeli, and US elites. Here's another one. Praise Allah. There are still people like you. This is something that we actually did a story on. Jeffrey Epstein nurtured Israel Emirates ties before Abraham Accords. Okay, so we talked about that at length on this program. Here's another one. Ask Jeffrey. Epstein ran Wexner, meaning Les Wexner's pro-Israel philanthropy machine, emails reveal. The Wexner Foundation has long claimed Epstein did not make decisions regarding the use of foundation's funds. New emails show that is flagrantly false. And in these pieces, you get a sense of just how hard Epstein was working on behalf of Israel. So to say that Epstein was running a blackmail operation on behalf of Russia is absolutely insane. And it's not insane, actually. It is intentionally done.
Now, look, this is where they kind of lose me. I'm talking about TYT, I'm talking about Jake. Look, it could be that they're doing it for Israeli influence. That's a possibility. But it could be because he's doing it for his pockets. He's trying to line himself up. In other words, it could be a selfish type of action. He's trying to influence geopolitics to get the most bread. It's no coincidence that in that region, it's Saudis, Jewish people who have the most amount of bread and money. US, the most amount of influence. Why wouldn't he want to crush a potential opposition like Syria? Look, is it possible the Russians were feeding him money? Yes, I'm telling you right now. I suspect Jeffrey Epstein of being a double or potentially a triple agent, much like Robert Maxwell, the father of Ghislaine. Let's go.
To mislead the public.
So to consider him strictly a Jewish Mossad asset, that might be restrictive. Not even might be. I think it is.
And divert their attention away from the very clear relationship Epstein had with the Israelis.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to more evidence of his connections with Israelis in a second.
I want y'all to get in the chat. I think this nigga was a double, potentially triple agent. In other words, let me say it again. Jeffrey Epstein was playing all angles to make as much money as possible and get as many deals as possible. That's what I believe. That's what I personally believe. Y'all get in the chat. Let me know y'all thoughts. Let's listen to more TYT analysis.
Let's pause here for this. So Epstein has connections to India, UAE, Russia, Mongolia, and many other countries. In every single instance, he sets up a connection to help which country? Every single time, Israel. Now, if you say that you missed that, you read all of the emails, and every time Epstein's trying to help Israel, and you see him trying to get meetings with the Russians, but he can't, trying to get the Russians to do something, but he can't. And he obviously clearly does not work for the Russians. And you write a story about how he works for the Russians. You didn't just accidentally get it wrong. You're trying to mislead your viewers, your readers, etc.
To lie to the public.
To lie to the public. So now for the public, there's a bunch of media outlets that did stories about how he works for the Russians. If you see that, understand that that outlet is totally compromised by Israel. And you should never trust a word they print because it's Israeli propaganda. But all the other outlets that haven't talked about the Russians, they also, none of them, zero, have talked about his overwhelming hundreds of ties to Israel. And that is enormously strange.
And look, this is not some kooky conspiracy theory. I mean, this used to be considered a conspiracy theory, not anymore. And
now it's proven.
A very good indication that people know what's really going on. It's unclear if they're gonna do anything about it, is how some Republican lawmakers are talking about this issue. So I bring you Josh Hawley, Senator.
At Dropsite, we reported that an Israeli spy named Yoni Koren stayed at his New York City apartment for weeks on end, several periods of weeks on end. Tucker Carlson discussed it on his podcast the other day. And
ultimately, the Young Turks are leaning on Dropsite, one random website. Does that mean they have all the credibility? No. Does that mean they're wrong? It does not. It means that we have to objectively analyze this and use critical thinking. Again, guys, my theory is dude did not just work for Israel. He was hitting all angles because he wanted all the bread. He wanted all the bread. He wanted all the bread. He wanted all the money. And he wanted all his disgusting, messed up desires fulfilled. It is what it is. It is what it is. A PDF file, man. And I personally believe that he got popped off. And guess what? If I was around any type of person, I would. Just saying. Super poker. Y'all don't see nothing. Y'all didn't see nothing. Let's go.
Want to know if you have any thoughts on that?
YouTube didn't see nothing either.
Because it's all in the documents between Ehud Barak. It wouldn't surprise you.
No, I mean, this is why I think it's so important to get these files out and have total transparency, is because his network was vast.
So there you have a senator, a Republican senator, Josh Hawley, asked about Jeffrey Epstein's ties to Israeli intelligence, and you can also count on Congressman Thomas Massie to just say it like it is, especially when it comes to this issue. Let's watch.
Do you believe Netanyahu's involvement with Trump is influencing the decision of the Epstein file release?
I think Israel is influencing the Epstein file release because Israeli intelligence and our own CIA was wrapped up with Epstein. And so it would be embarrassing to our own intelligence agencies as well as Israel's intelligence agencies for all that to come out.
And do you think he was a Mossad agent?
Let's talk about agent. I think he helped Mossad.
He sure did. Cenk, back to you.
Yeah, so in the past, literally no one would have admitted that. And which, by the way, again, stunning.
Big ups to Thomas Massie, man. Saying the real. Yeah. He helped Mossad. It's a fact. I agree.
Don't tell me that Israel doesn't control our government when it is unprecedented that when you could find two people in Congress who criticize Israel in this way, and when it's considered remarkable, right?
Shout out to Thomas Massie and Josh Hawley. That's a real.
Why? Why couldn't you criticize many of your allies? Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Canada. We don't see them shy and criticizing.
It just hits different, man, because once you criticize the small hats, the Zionists, it's different. Let's go.
Any of those, but when it comes to Israel, it was like, no. Okay, wait, all right, but you're revealing your hand. You have the worst poker face in the world. So Massie, a guy of enormous courage, the Ro Khanna, Tom Massie team got these files released, and they should build statues of them. Okay, one Republican, one Democrat.
And I give a lot of respect to Thomas Massie, Ro Khanna as well. Respect to both of them.
We found one in each party that's honest. Hawley is thinking of running for president. That's why he's got that smirk like, we all know it, but we can't say it.
Well,
but
then
you know
you're not
what?
fit to be president.
No. But you know what? Since I'm gonna run for president, and I know now, like the jury's in, if you try to run for president, these days actually, especially on the right wing side, and you're like, rah, Israel, like Ted Cruz is, you got no chance. So that memo just got sent to Hawley. That's why Hawley's like, yeah, probably it's Israel.
Wait, hold on. Why do you say especially on the Republican side? I think we're seeing the same type of energy on the left right now, where people are like, I'm not going to vote for a candidate who's.
I think again. Anna's partially correct because even the left is done with Israel. Both sides are done with Israel. They're done with Zionists. They're done with Zionism. But ultimately, it's going to take somebody with a whole lot of nuts to say, I'm getting out of this order, lose a lot of money, but then win the people. And that's a huge risk, but it could be a great calculated risk. We'll see what happens.
Towards Israel.
Well, look, we're running OperationConsequences.com, where I say if you're a Democrat or a Republican, make a pledge in your primary so you don't have to vote for the other side to vote out anyone who gets money from the Israeli lobby or who gives money to Israel. So I hope that both sides do it significantly. In my experience, like if you asked me that question a year ago, I would have said, the left is much more likely to rebel.
I agree.
Against Israeli cabinet, against someone who's blindly supporting Israel within our primaries, right? Now, though, I think the right is more pissed, to be honest. And there's still a contingent on the left. I love you guys, but that are still like the Hillary Clinton dead enders who are.
The right is definitely more pissed and more critical of Israel than anybody else.
Like, no, we just get Cory Booker.
Oh my God.
And like, yeah, he's totally 100% for Israel, but it's okay. He's so nice. You see what I'm saying? Like a Cory Booker might have a shot on the Democratic side, but a Ted Cruz has no chance on the Republican side.
I'm a one-issue voter at this point, and we're at war. So I want to be very clear. If you watch the show and you think you got to vote for the Democrat no matter what, Democrat supports Israel, they're my enemy. I do see them that way.
Yeah, I mean, because they're saying, I'm not going to represent you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're just declaring it. I'm going to represent another country.
That person is going to steal my taxes and hand it over to a genocidal regime.
And by the way, the person
not
who
interested.
the person who does that will also steal your taxes and hand them over to Big Pharma.
I'm just gonna keep it 100% real, man. The right wing is more solid on this than the progressive left. It's a period, point blank period. It is what it is. That's why I've always been more right leaning. Not always, but recently. It is what it is.
Yeah. Because he's a thief and he's corrupt, and which describes about at least 95% of the Democrats in Congress. Last two things, guys. Dropside News also showed that Epstein tried to acquire cyber weapons for Israel.
Yep.
There's still a question as to who he was working for. How could you see that and say, nope, I don't see, I won't even report that there are any connections to Israel. That's when these news organizations are making that active decision, they're basically planting a flag and saying, don't trust us. We work for Israel and we will hide the truth from you. And the last people that are hiding the truth, the people you should be angriest at, is our own government. For decades, they knew this stuff. We're just learning it now, but Obama knew it, Biden knew it, Bush knew it, Trump knew it. And all of them were like, oh yeah, you were all Epstein. And by the way, Epstein was in the middle of Iran-Contra. We knew he was arranging the Israeli end of Iran-Contra.
In the freaking 80s,
man. In the 80s.
Come on.
So both parties have known forever that we're selling out to the Israelis and our government works for Israel. And the most powerful people on earth are all, not all the powerful people, but in this context, the people working with Epstein, we're all trying to help Israel. And our own government, Democrats and Republicans, said, yeah, let's betray the American people. By the way, they also knew all that time that they were raping those girls.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, go ahead. We're going to side with the predators who are against America. And we're going to side against young American girls and the American people. If you want to get mad at somebody, you should get mad at the disgusting politicians in America who sold us out. It doesn't matter what country they sold us out to.
Yeah.
It matters that they sold us out. You should be furious with them and never vote for a Republican or a Democrat who raises their hand and says, I'm gonna keep selling you out. And if Israel gives me money, I'm gonna take as much of your money as I can and hand it over to them, let alone the wars we're gonna start for them.
That's right.
Unacceptable.
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Look. I'm gonna give Shank Uger his credit, man. He spit some game right there. Regardless of the party, all these people knew this ish was going on. They all left a blind eye because it helped them politically or socially, power-wise, whatever you want to say. Right? And this is how I'm gonna end the stream. We gotta have some accountability, guys. People gotta go to jail. People gotta get civil lawsuits. And then we gotta get more truth, man. We gotta get more truth. Because guess what? It's easy to lie, but it's hard to say the truth. It's easy to lie, but it's hard to actually go in front of people and testify and say, yo, this is what I did, and this is what should happen to me. These are facts. It's a bipartisan issue, left or right. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Shout out my boy Raconte. Y'all show him love. Shout out Sleepy Euphoria. Shout out everybody. Shout out everybody who showed me likes and love. Appreciate y'all more than you know, man. I think we got to get the birds. We got to get the birds. Can we get some of the birds? Can we get some of the birds? Hey, man. There's only one way to end this, man. Only one way to end this. And I'm going to do it the right way. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all for tuning in, showing love to your boy. You know what I'm saying? All that. Big JTV. One of my first streams in a long time, and I'm happy that y'all did this with me. We did it together. Definitely. Let's go. Come on, man. Deuces. Appreciate y'all more than you know. Again, like, comment, subscribe, Patreon, show love, everything in between. Let's go, guys.